Welcome back. I wanted to hit y'all with another video, still on the topic of the GI Bill and the promise that was denied to a million Black World War II veterans. This is an article from history.com written by Aaron Blake. I want to definitely jump straight to because this made me think about something J. Edgar Hoover said or made in reference to the Black Panthers. The Black Panthers represent the greatest threat to national security. National security in that context, in my mind, translates to white supremacy. In America, all these other ethnic groups are allowed to thrive financially. It's something about the Black American that these Caucasians fear on some kind of spiritual level, primal level. I don't know what it is. You have an organization that was trying to uplift and protect the Black community. So, if that organization was a threat to national security, then the agenda of the government is to destroy the Black community and to make sure that they never rise above a certain point. Going back to my previous video of the real reason America loves immigrants, because they always can count on us as a permanent bottom class. The Black Panthers were making moves at their time in history to uplift the communities nationwide, just like in the early part of the century during the bloody 20s, when you had thriving Black communities that were under attack from nearby white towns where they literally killed as many of our ancestors as they could and terrorized the rest to where they fled. In a lot of cases, either just straight took over the property or they might have burnt everything down. It's like the jealousy of Black success is so powerful in their mind. I wouldn't blame them because you have to think of it from a devil perspective. You have to think of it from a white supremacist perspective. I'm passing laws to restrict the movement of the Negro, to limit what property they can buy. I'm trying to make it hard for them to even start businesses. But yet somehow these niggas are successful. And then when the niggas start to really G off and you start having your first Black millionaires popping up here and there, they just over themselves like we did everything we could to try to stop these niggas. And they still just, bloom and blossom. No matter how much we try to stamp them out. The idea of them being so superior to us, but yet having to stoop to scumbag levels to prevent us from being successful and us thriving in the fact that they're constantly ongoing with sabotage and things of that nature is driving them crazy. So that's why the Black Panthers were a threat to national security, just like all of those thriving Black towns from the early 1910s and 20s before they were, the sites of race massacres, basically at the hands of white mobs who were jealous and hating on them. So that's my little sidestep for a minute, but back on track to the thing I want to really highlight out of this whole article where the author hits it right on the damn head. The whole reason why these various state governments, and I'm not going to put it on the federal government, the word for word can't be disputed. Those benefits were meant for all soldiers, point blank, period. The state governments were the ones with the super racist or less racist, depending on the state and the region, dispersing those benefits, right? Fear of Black advancement. That's what this whole was about. For a group of people that these devils love to say are inferior, subhuman, monkeys, blah, 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 every negative word under the sun you could think about, they were surely scared of us advancing over them. And they were extra scared that if we amassed financial power and political power again, we might do them as dirty as they fucking did us. Which is why it was a matter of national security to try to sabotage or outright eliminate the concept of black prosperity in America. When lawmakers began drafting the GI Bill in 1944, some Southern Democrats, back to my boy Old Benji, feared that returning black veterans would use public sympathy for veterans to advocate against Jim Crow laws. So the Democrats, this ain't hundreds of years ago. This is 1944. Like I said, my grandmother was born in 1932. These Democrats feared that the black veterans would get the public behind them to try to end the Jim Crow laws, which was against the advancement and the basic human rights of black people. Think about it. Think about it. We're going to go further. To make sure that the GI Bill largely benefited white people, the Southern Democrats drew on tactics they had previously used to ensure that the New Deal helped as few black people as possible. And we're going to definitely hop into a video on the New Deal. Don't get that twisted at all. During the drafting of the law, the chair of the House Veterans Committee, Mississippi Congressman John Rankin, played hardball and insisted that the program be administered by individual states instead of the federal government. He got his way. So he basically loophole the system. If the federal government was in charge of giving up those benefits, black people would have been up because it would have been an equal playing field. These white people, as I mentioned in the other video, were poor. They were down bad. The Great Depression was still, effects were very felt. World War II started around 1940, 41, somewhere in there. But the long and short of it is they were down bad. It wasn't MAGA hat time. It wasn't great from a white nationalist perspective. America was never great for our people. In present day 2025, this is probably the best it has been so far in general, but we still ain't at a great point. It says Rankin was known for his virulent racism. He defended segregation, opposed interracial marriage, and even proposed legislation to confine, then deport every person with Japanese heritage during World War II. So he definitely was in his racist bag, right? It says when the bill came to a committee vote, he stonewalled an attempt to gut another provision that entitled all veterans to $20 a week of unemployment compensation for a year. He knew this would represent significant gain for black Southerners, so he refused to cast a critical proxy vote in protest. So at the expense of white veterans who could have used that extra $20 a week in unemployment, he said, we're not giving it because them niggas gonna get the $20. So this is how racism backfires against white people. You got white individuals in government that are so twisted that they'll deny a benefit to whites if black people can get access to it. So ask your grandfather, when you think about your grandfather or great grandfather who told you stories about how maybe they had to struggle after coming home from the war for a hot minute, that extra $20, I'm sure would have went a long way and helped out back then in that era. Roosevelt signed the Servicemen's Readjustment Act into law on June 22nd, 1944, only weeks after the D-Day offensive began. It ushered into law sweeping veterans, including college tuition, low-cost home loans, and unemployment insurance. And then here's the other loophole: the GI Bill's effect on black veterans. From the start, black veterans had trouble securing benefits. Some could not access the benefits because they had not been given an honorable discharge. And a much larger number of black veterans were discharged dishonorably than their white counterparts. Veterans who did not qualify could not find facilities that delivered on the bill's promise. Black veterans in a vocational training program at a segregated high school in Indianapolis were unable to participate in activities related to plumbing, electricity, and printing because adequate equipment was only available to white students. This is the of the devil. That's why they the devil. Simple intimidation kept others from enjoying GI benefits. In 1947, for example, a crowd hurled rocks at black veterans as they moved into a Chicago housing development. Thousands of black veterans were attacked in the years following World War II, and some were singled out and lynched. We talk about the lengths that these devils will go to make sure that we never get into a equal position. I'm not making it up. This is all documented. We're gonna touch on redlining, right? Redlining, as they tell you here, word for word, it's a decades old practice of marking maps by race to characterize the risk of lending money and providing insurance, made purchasing homes even more difficult for black veterans. And then not only black veterans, but black people in general. Lenders froze out poorer neighborhoods, ensuring that a loan assistance and insurance would be denied. So the people that live in these neighborhoods on this literal map that they would draw a red line around don't give nobody in that zip code a loan. That's administrative racism. That's systematic racism. Ancestors are dealing with racism from an education standpoint, as touched on earlier, regarding the veterans who were trying to learn some trades so they can be employable after returning home from the war. The equipment was only provided to white students to train with and study. If white people were faced with these same barriers, they would have crumbled and folded. There's so many levels. This shit is diabolical, man. But that's all I wanted to hit y'all, sprinkle y'all with some extra sauce on top of the meal I already done gave y'all earlier today.